What's going on,
impressive.
everyone? Welcome to episode 123 of the Bros Talking Soccer podcast. My name is Dave Knittel here with my two brothers, Christian and Matt, to discuss stories from around the soccer world. Christian, hello.
Hi.
All right, we got a lot of energy going on right now. We've dealt with some technical difficulties, so just bear with us. Matt has been eating bacon. Matt, how are you doing?
Doing great, Dave. I wasn't just eating bacon for everyone. This bacon just takes the longest to cook, so I was waiting on it.
Got it. Okay. Well, there you go. We're gonna shake off, get the energy flowing again because I've been energy's down. Christian and I are probably a little bit down after the City result. Matt's probably flying after the City result, and
yeah, how do you like it? Winning 1-0 on some garbage goal. Like you guys did for like 2 months.
Don't even get Matt. That's an absolutely ridiculous thing to say. A little nervous about Game of Thrones later, so I think we're ready to jump into things. Christian, you have a trivia question?
I do.
All right. Are you going to shake out of whatever funk you're in?
No, probably not.
All right. That's great. Matt, you ready to get going?
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out the best way to sit.
Okay. All right. So we're just going to fucking go into it. What's going on, everyone, and welcome to episode 123 of the Bros Talking Soccer podcast. My name is Dave Knittel, here with my two brothers, Christian and Matt, to discuss stories from around the soccer world. Christian, hello, how are you doing?
Hi, David. I've been better. I hate this day. I hate everything that happened this week, and I'm ready for this podcast now.
Okay, you hate everything that happened this week. So you saw a fantastic movie. The Union got a road,
most things,
and Liverpool won. So what's wrong?
I really don't want to go into it on this podcast right now.
Okay, all right. Well, I'm sorry to hear that. And Matthew, hello. How are you doing?
I'm doing great, David. Thanks for asking. I had a wonderful breakfast. I got to enjoy my morning coffee, watching Man City win. You guys seem very, very down at the start of the podcast. I think people just listening are going to miss that. A lot of fun stuff going on before.
Yeah, well, I was more down just out of frustration at the two of you two, Christian, with the whole mic and echo situation, Matt, with the whole bacon situation. Matt, you sound very distinguished. You're sipping your morning coffee while you're very cultured there. How's your bacon?
My bacon, I took it out a little bit earlier than I would have liked because Dave really wanted to get this done. So it was only okay.
Well, we all agreed on a time, and then all of a sudden, everybody needs to do things right at that time. That's on you. I let you know yesterday. Yeah, so that one's on you. Quick question, Christian: do you like your bacon crispy or chewy?
More crispy, but not completely crispy.
Matt?
Crispier.
I like it chewy. All right, so there you go. Listeners, let us know your thoughts on how you like your bacon at BT Soccer Pod. Hit us up on there. Christian, you have our trivia question this week.
I do have the trivia question this week. So in his 36 attempts, how many goals from free kick has Marcus Rashford scored from United? For United.
Free kick. Okay, we'll think on that. Listeners, you will think as well. So out of 36, how many has he scored?
Correct.
Is there a stat for how many he's put on goal?
I'm sure that exists, but I do not have it.
All right, so we'll think on that, give our guesses at the end before Christian reveals the answer in a dramatic ceremony. Matt, over to you for Matt's Megs.
Oh, thank you, Dave, for the wonderful intro. Welcome, everyone, to Matt's Megs. Today, we'll get started with talking about Burnley. So they beat...
Fuck Burnley.
Game was... Okay, Christian. So I think the Chelsea game was Monday, right? Where they beat Chelsea. Okay.
They tied
2-2. Oh, they tied 2-2. Correct. So David Luiz after the game claimed that Burnley play anti-football and kind of has an issue with the style they play. Today they played Man City, and I would say I was admiring the way they play. Going up against teams that are much better. I think it's a lot of fun when you're still able to play a different way and just pack it into the box. And it's just like, I don't know, I had a good time watching. Christian, I'll start with you. Do you have an issue with the way they approach playing, top clubs?
No, not at all. I feel like that's the way most teams play against them. And we saw it today when Burnley played City. they actually did try and attack at times, and they're just a very resolute defensive team. And David Luiz has no room to talk. He played under Mourinho at Chelsea. I have nothing to say to him in response to that. That's ridiculous. Most of the teams that are underdogs are going to play defensively. And yes, Burnley plays long balls, but it's been successful for them. They finished in 7th, made the Europa League this season. Last year, they finished 7th. And yeah, they haven't been doing as well this year, but they're still getting the job done. They're going to stay in the Premier League, and that's how you play against big teams when you don't have the talent to match.
Fair enough. David.
Yeah, I'm in complete agreement. I don't really have too much else to add. I mean, the good thing about the Premier League or most leagues is that there's not just a set style of playing, and there's all different kinds of styles of play. So I have no problems with the way Burnley plays soccer.
Yeah, and another point, it was a lot of teams pretty much like I would say most teams in the Premier League kind of bunkered against City. But then Burnley, they came out with 2 strikers, and I know they were packing it in, but like nobody really even plays 2 strikers anymore, and I thought they were still attacking. And it's something that I don't know. I think when you have people going forward and how good their forwards are with like balls in the air, I think it's it is a form of attacking, and I don't think it is necessarily just bunkered in. So, just my 2 cents.
Very good.
Anything else you guys want to add?
Nope.
No, not really.
Okay. Switching over to Champions League preview this week. I'm pretty sure the Tuesday match is Tottenham Ajax.
Correct.
Do we have confirmation on that? Okay. And is it in?
It's at
It's your section, Matt.
Okay, I'm sorry. I don't have it up. Okay, so it's at Tottenham.
Yes.
Dave, I'll start with you. What do you think is going to go? What do you think is going to happen in this first match?
I don't know, to be honest with you. I mean, Tottenham is really sputtering at this point. I think the injuries are really starting to catch up to them. And I mean, we're seeing it in the Premier League. They're kind of stumbling right now. The home loss to West Ham is not a great sign heading into that Ajax match. Ajax had the weekend off. They're going to be well rested, and I could see Ajax getting a road result here, maybe a 1-1 situation. I can also see Tottenham eking out a 2-1 home victory.
Okay. Christian, what do you think?
I have a little Hercules humor coming in here. They're going to have to be calling Ajax Eye Eye. Yeah. I think Tottenham's going to struggle with Ajax. The way that they play is something that no one really plays in the Premier League. I think it's probably closest to City. They play a lot of possession, but they really are a fun team to watch. A lot of young, raw talent, and they seem to have a system that's working to the best of everyone's abilities. And with the midfield they have, I think Tottenham's going to be overrun. I think Eriksen's a brilliant player in the midfield, but other than that, I don't really rate the rest of the midfield for Tottenham that highly. They have the talent probably on the wings and up front, but I just think that with Ajax's style of play, it's so tricky to play against. We've seen it against Real Madrid and Juventus now, and on the road, they've gotten wins in both of those places. Tottenham are at home in this first leg have to be aware of the threat that's being posed on the counterattack with Ajax, specifically with Ziyech and with Tadic, right, on the 2 wings. And
I think Tadic has been playing a little bit more centrally up top, but yeah, point taken. He's been fantastic for them.
Yeah, and it's going to be interesting because I think Ajax is actually going to dominate the possession. But the thing is that when Spurs actually get the ball forward, Ajax are probably at their most dangerous, and it's probably something we see with, I think, Liverpool and City, that they're most threatening when they get the chance to counter. They just don't as much, and I think Ajax is a similar type of style of play that Spurs are going to struggle with. I think Spurs probably win this game 2-1, but they definitely concede a goal, and it's more in favor of Ajax going back to Amsterdam Arena.
Johan Cruyff Arena.
Whatever, same thing.
All right. So I think Tottenham does get a result here. I think they're going to win 1-0. I do think Tottenham does have a lot of experience at the back, and just like more experience in general than Ajax. I think going further and further into the competition, I think it's something they'll benefit from. I still think Ajax might go through from the second leg, but I think in the first leg, Tottenham gets a result. I don't see them losing 2 games at home like consecutively in a week. So I think they are going to get a result. I did say that Tottenham, I think, would struggle in the Premier League, but as it turns out, everyone else that is trying to qualify for the Champions League is also not trying to win games. I think what I said last week with them not qualifying, I think they pretty much shored it up. Well, the other teams have shored it up for them at this point. I still think Tottenham gets a result in the Champions League. Anything else you guys want to add?
Nope.
Okay, moving on to Liverpool versus Barcelona. I know it seems kind of like an awful battle, but what you guys did last year, qualifying or making the final, and kind of how good Liverpool is going to be the second or third best team in Premier League history. It seems like after this year. I forget who I started with. Christian, we'll start with you. What do you think happens in this first leg?
I really am going to disagree that this is an uphill battle. I think that this is a very even matchup between the two teams. I think Barcelona have obviously the best player of the two teams, but if you can shut down just the delivery to Messi in that 10 role where he's going to be obviously at his most dangerous, you can pretty much shut them down. I think the other thing that Liverpool's going to be worried about is Jordi Alba making those overlapping runs. He is their most threatening player. When Messi gets on the ball about 40 yards from goal and he chips it into Jordi Alba for a cross, it's something just that for some reason works every single time they try it. And Liverpool's midfield is something that Barca haven't seen before. I think we're going to be seeing Henderson, Fabinho, and Wijnaldum, and that's just going to be workhorse, defensive, and they can go forward as well. It's going to be really interesting to see how they clog up that midfield. And those three are really, really tough to break down when anyone comes into that central area. Barca's wingers, I don't know if Dembele is going to play or if they're going to start Messi on the right where he just floats inside. I think Dembele needs to play if they're going to be threatening Barcelona or threatening Liverpool's defense. But that Liverpool defense is just so good. With the four players that they can play in there, I guess one of the center backs could really rotate to any of Lovren, Matip, or Gomez at this point. But it's just going to be interesting. And I think that it's going to be very low scoring. I don't see many goals in this game, maybe one for either team. But Barcelona's defense is their weak point, in my opinion. I don't think that they're solid enough to contain Liverpool over two legs. Maybe at home, just because they're going to have more of the ball, they keep Liverpool off the score sheet. But I just think that Liverpool's attack plays perfectly into Barcelona's into Barcelona. I guess it plays against Barcelona because Barcelona wants to keep the ball in the attacking third, and Liverpool on the counterattack is their strongest point. So it'll be interesting to see what we have here. I'm guessing it's going to either be 1-0 Barcelona or 1-0 Liverpool, one or the other.
All right. Dave.
So obviously, Firmino's a huge impact player for Liverpool. I don't know if he's going to be back for this game, if he was just held out as a precaution. So that's something to keep an eye on from Liverpool perspective. Also, to address some of the points that Christian brought up, I mean, Liverpool's fullbacks are so attacking. If they can pin back Jordi Alba or expose Dembele, maybe not tracking back, that could be an area that they can look to exploit. It's going to be an interesting decision, Wijnaldum or Keita. I know Wijnaldum obviously has more time in the system, but Keita's really starting to come into form. He's gotten goals in recent weeks and seems to be playing better. So I'm not certain it's going to be Gini at this point. I wouldn't be shocked to see Keita, but I do agree with you. Fabinho and Henderson should be the other two center midfielders in there. I'm obviously more familiar with Liverpool than I am with Barcelona. I haven't been overly impressed with them. I mean, they did lock up a title this weekend. Messi won his 10th title in La Liga, and so congrats to them. Clearly, they're still talented, but I think they're there for the taking. They're not the dominating Barcelona of old, and they have weaknesses in the team. Busquets is getting older. Can Liverpool exploit that area where Firmino would kind of be getting into those spaces? That's something to look out for. And so Liverpool can get a result on the road here. A good result for Liverpool would be like a 1-1 draw. So that's what I'm looking for.
All right. So I'm going to disagree with Christian. I think it's going to be a pretty high scoring affair. I think it's so hard to kind of contain, Messi. I know Liverpool doesn't concede much, but I think it's just a different beast with him, and I think they're going to score. And also just Liverpool in the counterattack, the form they're in as of late, they're just scoring at will. I think they're going to get at least 2. I'm looking at a 2-2 draw, maybe even 5 goals. Maybe team wins 3-2, but I think there's going to be goals in this matchup. I'm going with the draw, but I can see either team winning this. The form Liverpool's in, I think Barcelona's the favorite in this matchup, I'm pretty sure, through like betting odds, but I don't think it's too far off to say Liverpool can handle them. So that's just where I stand. Anything else you guys want to add?
Nope.
Did you give a score prediction?
2-2.
Okay.
Yeah. So last topic. Yeah, Christian, listen. Last topic I wanted to just touch on. So Real Madrid are claiming, Marco Asensio's agent has come out saying Real Madrid are denying like 150 to 180 million euro bids for him. And at this rate, I mean, the way the market has just gone up, it's kind of ridiculous that they won't like even consider selling him for that price. I think, Dave, I'll start with you. Where is the price to kind of where do you see him going at this point? Do you think he's just going to stay at Madrid, or do you think at some point this is just agent hyping it up?
Well, the agent said that Asensio and Real Madrid didn't entertain it. So it wasn't like he was pushing for a move. Those bids came in and they basically weren't entertained by Real Madrid or Asensio. I think he was aware of it in some way. I think this is agent posturing to a certain extent. I don't think Asensio has had the greatest season for Real Madrid. Real Madrid in general hasn't had the greatest season. And so they're going to be looking to bring in a ton of players in the offseason. Zidane finally has some power. And so this is either the agent saying this player is, looking to move, or it's, negotiating to get a better deal from Real Madrid, maybe guaranteed playing time and things like that. That's what I think all of this is.
Okay. Christian, what do you make of this?
This makes no sense to me. If they're offered that amount of money for Asensio and didn't take it, they're being stupid. As a business, they are not running correctly. And Asensio really has done absolutely nothing. I've seen him in a couple of games this year. He's been utterly useless without Ronaldo in that team to get all of the attention. Real Madrid just look absolutely lost. They have no one taking a leadership role, no one really creating the chances. And I can't remember who's the Brazilian that they signed who's injured right now.
Vinicius Jr.
But yeah. So since he's gone down, he was starting to come into form and was really their danger man. Asensio and Bale just haven't really been good enough. And I don't know why they haven't. If they're getting that offer, they can sign so many players with that amount of money. They're going to be able to get Pogba for cheaper than that, and that's who they really want, according to a lot of sources that I'm reading right now. Yeah, but I would just it makes no sense to me to reject that bid for a guy who's really not a global superstar.
I think it's bold of you to call out Real Madrid's business practices when they're like the most valuable team and have generated like the most profits of any soccer team. So I know you like to be bold.
I mean, you can criticize someone when they're being dumb.
All right, fair enough.
All right. So for me, I think he is going to be he's on his way to being superstar status. He's done so well for Spain, and what is he, 21?
23 at this point.
23?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, impressive. So yeah, he's 23.
Why is that impressive?
Wow, he was born in that year. That's insane.
It's impressive. So I think he is on his way to being a world-class talent, but I know even a young player, 23, that's a big development. I think this is where he's going to need to make the jump. And what do you have, 3 different coaches this year at Real Madrid? So yeah. It's just kind of tough dealing with that. But for Real Madrid and, the players they want to bring in, turning down 180 million when I think they could be bringing in Hazard, Neymar, and Pogba, I think they need that money to fund all those moves.
Yeah,
so
that's just they have other players that they can sell. Potentially Bale might be
valuable.
Bale, I don't know, not that valuable, but it's a trade-off, right?
So maybe they go for a pack of gum at this point.
Yeah. Say they get, in this market, 80 to 100 million euros for Bale. Instead of selling Asensio for 50 to 80 million more, they view his, differential talent as being they might as well hold on to him and sell Bale instead. You know, he's younger, he has more growth potential, and he potentially might be better. That's probably what's factoring into their business decision.
Business ethics.
Do you have any response to, funding for, Neymar, Hazard, and Pogba?
Those players are much, much better, so they should do that. They should do that now. But yes, they should sell Bale, probably. I think that's what they're going to do. If not, they're just going to loan them. Dave, what is happening?
Sorry. So I have my scarf wall. In the past, I've had moths just like hanging out in there. So I'm just making sure there's nothing in there. I saw a speck over here. I don't think there's anything there, but I was just making sure. Sorry, I didn't mean to distract you.
Okay,
I'm like
so
a cat.
they should definitely sell Bale. I think they should sell Asensio too, because they'll get a lot of money for him, even though I don't think personally that he's worth that amount of money. I think they should probably sell Courtois at this point and bring in the money because he's got a high transfer fee that he's going to bring in. I think they want to get De Gea anyway. So if they really want to get De Gea, they want to get Pogba, Hazard, and Neymar or Mbappe, one or the other. Probably they're going to be going after hard. They're going to have to sell probably half of their starting lineup, and that's just the way that it is. Marcelo might be leaving. Sergio Ramos, I know, said he wanted to leave, but I don't think he does anymore since Zidane came back. It's a disaster at that club right now, and they're going to have to completely reset.
Yeah, I mean, other than I'm just trying to think through their line. I mean, their lineup's starting to get old, especially in the middle of the park. I'm trying to think of who actually commands a fee. I mean, Benzema's not going to command a fee.
Kroos maybe a little bit. Modric maybe a little bit.
Yeah, but nowhere near the amount of money that they'll need. But the thing is, with financial fair play, teams can spend into a deficit. And with the amount of money that Real Madrid brings in, they might be able to spend legitimately $500 million because they haven't really spent over the last couple of years. And so they might be able to spend that, but still be within financial fair play. So I know we're all saying they need to sell players, but the reality of the situation is they may not need to actually sell players.
And they got $100 million from Ronaldo last year.
Yeah. They didn't really, I mean, they invested in Vinicius Jr., but he was what, 50 million or so? So
yeah, and Courtois.
Right? Yeah. Yeah. But I still don't think that they need to sell the amount of players that we think they do.
Okay. Yeah, I think you're right. Because I know they were thinking of spending like $400 to $500 million this summer, I think.
Cash money.
Yeah. All right. Anything else you guys want to add?
No, I'm good.
All right. I think that's going to wrap up Matt's Megs. Thank you for joining me. Listen to a little bit of music, and we'll be right back.
All right. Bam. Good stuff. Good stuff. Yeah, I worry. There were just some specs here, and I don't think it's just
I was looking at you, and I was like, I know that's just a wall next to him, so I don't know what he's looking at.
I thought he was waving at Kristen, and then I realized he's looking at the scarf wall. So
yeah, Kristen's also not here. I've been by myself for the last few days. So
oh, I forgot she's still not there, right?
Yeah. So a lot of sleeping on the couch.
I'm all alone.
There's no one here beside me. All right, you want to do a stadium scene plug?
Check out our partners at Stadium Scene if you're going to any stadium in the US or Canada, any sport. So if you're going there and you want to know what bars to go to, what restaurants to go to, where to park, what to do around the stadium, what events are happening in the area, definitely check out stadiumscene.tv. Matt, what else do they do?
They also partner with content. Sorry, Dave just got me. We might need to reset this one.
Oh my God.
No, you don't need to do your part again, Christian. I'll just cut it to where Matt.
Right.
Okay.
Matt, what else do they do?
They also partner with content creators like ourselves and offer you things like blogs, YouTube videos,
podcasts, what we're doing.
You know, what this is. Yeah, what this is. All that cool stuff. And again, it's not just soccer. It's all sports in US, Canada. Again, check them out at stadiumscene.tv.
Yep. And if you have a podcast, blog, or any other piece of content, making sports content, make sure to join their partner portal. It's an awesome network to join and be part of a great community. All of that is available over on stadiumscene.tv. Check it out. All right. Yeah, Matt, what the fuck were you doing while Christian was talking? He was like popping in and out of the picture, which I thought was very funny, but then he cracked himself up. Like,
He also, when he first was talking, goes, blogs.
That was his internet zonked out. Also, he sounds quieter, right, Christian? He sounds so much quieter than you and I.
I sound quieter?
Yeah, just because of your headphones. So you guys, because neither of you listen to the podcast.
Yeah, I do all the time, every week.
When I actually listen, Matt, you sound so much quieter. That's why I was talking about getting a mic for you. But whatever.
Speak up.
No, you don't
project.
You're loud enough. All right. We need more random singing. Okay, no more. Yeah,
no more random singing.
I don't think that's going to happen, Stephen. But thank you for joining.
I mean, it could happen. We don't know. You never know.
What? That's a very good point. I want to see you be brave. Christian, all right, you want to go?
Honestly.
Show me how big your brave is. All right. Hey, everybody. Welcome to Christian's Corner. It's time. Okay, so we're going to start here in the championship. I know this is the most anticipated topic in my section today. We've heard a lot of comments about it. So I thought, let's start with it. It makes the most sense. So first of all, I want to say congratulations to Norwich City and to Sheffield United for joining the Premier League in the 2019-20 season. The upcoming season, we will have those two. So today, in a specific game, Leeds versus Aston Villa, we had some crazy shit go down. So Leeds scores a goal because a player went down in midfield. Let me have 1 second to pull up their names again because I want to get this right because I know I'm going to mess it up. I'll come back to their names in a second. All right. So what happened was their striker went down in midfield. Leeds looked like they were going to. What? Yeah,
Villa striker goes down.
So Leeds has the ball with their left back. He looks like he's going to kick it out of bounds, as a lot of teams do for sportsmanship reasons. And they don't. They end up kicking it down the line to the onside winger, who then cuts inside, scores into the bottom right-hand corner past the keeper. And it looked like Villa's whole defense just stopped because they looked like they were going to kick the ball. It looked like Leeds was going to kick the ball out of bounds. They end up scoring. The goal counts, obviously, because the ref can't overturn that. What happens next is an all-out brawl between both teams. Everyone's fighting. It was amazing. There was a red card. It was just so much fun. The benches were fighting. John Terry versus Marco Bielsa. It was just, what a time to be alive. So then Bielsa goes, hey, team, let's everybody just stand still for a second and let Aston Villa run straight through us and score. They'll never expect it. Ends up being 1-1. The game ends 1-1 because they let them score out of sportsmanship. Bielsa says England's culture is all about sportsmanship, so I thought that was the right thing to do. Matt, since you're laughing the loudest, I'll go to you first. What do you think about this whole situation?
Yeah, so the main issue was that Leeds made it seem like they were going to play the ball out, and everyone stopped, and then they were just like, whatever, we're going for it anyway. Do we know, did the Villa striker get badly injured? It seemed like his knee was pretty bad, but was it like an actual serious injury?
Well, his ankle rolled pretty good based on the replay, but I don't have the full context of. I know he got treatment. I don't know if he came off or anything like that.
Okay. Well, it did look kind of bad at the time, and just kind of how we went down, and the position they were at on the field, and just the way they made it seem, it was like, okay, this is like a normal kick it out of bounds play. That's just my only issue with it. But at the end of the day, you do play until the whistle. And it's like something you learn, when you're first starting to play soccer. It's like you play until the ball is out or you hear a whistle. So, I mean, obviously it wasn't very sportsmanlike. And, letting them score after was, I guess, the right thing to do after it. But I don't understand all the fighting. And then even after Aston Villa scored, there was like more fights that broke out because the one center back on Leeds didn't agree to letting them score. There 10 players did, and then the center back didn't agree, and he starts fighting with everyone on his own team. And it was just like, what a situation.
Yeah, it was pretty crazy. And before, Dave, we get your thoughts, I would like to say the names of all the people involved. So it is Klitsch who scored the goal for Leeds. It was Jonathan Kunjolia. I don't actually know how to pronounce your name, Mr. Striker from Aston Villa, but let's call him Johnny. And the guy who got a red card was Aston Villa's El Ghazi. So there you go. Dave, what do you think about the situation?
Okay. These situations pop up what seems like, once every maybe couple of years or maybe a couple of times a year. For me, I think the decision needs to be taken out of the players and the referee. I know that the rules actually state that it's up to the referee's discretion, but right now it's different from culture to culture on when you play the ball out and when you don't, and especially with the global game and in England, you have players from all over the world who have different views on when to kick it out and when not to. And so I think there needs to be a level of clarity added by FIFA to say teams need to kick the ball out or teams definitely don't need to kick the ball out. I would go with teams definitely don't need to kick the ball out and it's up to the referee, and players need to stop assuming that it's sportsmanlike to kick the ball out, because again, in the modern game, sometimes players are legit injured, but a lot of times players are nursing something or making a meal out of something, and they're not actually injured. They're wasting time and stuff like that. And so for me, I would just like to see more clarity added and more power given to the ref and less put on the players to, quote, do the right thing and kick it out, which again isn't always the right decision.
I absolutely think that this should not be mandatory to kick the ball out of bounds.
Yeah.
People play act all the time, and I understand this guy actually was injured, and that I guess out of sportsmanship, teams can play it out, but there should be no reason to. Leeds is chasing an automatic promotion spot, didn't get it because they didn't win this game and they let Aston Villa score that goal. That's crazy to me. Like, you are fighting to get into the Premier League and avoid that playoff, which is very, very competitive and really tough to add those 3 extra games potentially. You took advantage of someone being down. You had a numerical advantage at that time. I think it was wrong the way that he made it look like he was going to pass it out of bounds. But Aston Villa should have never assumed that's what's going to happen. People do fake passes all the time. Like, it's ridiculous. And I understand the situation's a little bit different, but you have to keep playing. Like, you have to be aware of what's happening around you and not assume someone's going to have that sportsmanship. And in my opinion, I didn't think Bielsa had he had no responsibility to tell his team, let Aston Villa score immediately in response.
Yeah, I do want to say I do agree with Matt. It did look like the Leeds player sort of gave up and kicked it. The left back I'm talking about, like he was kicking it out of bounds, but he actually did pass it. So I think I'm okay with everything else beyond that.
Yeah, I mean, it's not great, but you can't assume that's what's going to happen, and that's on the Aston Villa defense. You know what happens when you assume.
Damn it, that was what I wanted to say.
Oh, man. It's so unfortunate. Maybe you should have just said it. Yeah. Oh, missed opportunity. All right, so Dave, would you like to tell everybody what happens?
You make an ass out of you and me.
All right, so anyone have anything else to add on this topic?
No, I'm good.
No, we're all good? All right, so next topic I will discuss is Ligue 1 appointed their first ever female referee. Her name is Stephanie Frappart, and it is, I think there was a referee who did referee, a female referee, who refereed a match in Ligue 2 in 2014, since 2014. But this is the first time in the first division we're having a female referee.
Was it the same woman?
Different woman. Yeah,
okay, because you have Stephanie Frappart as the League 2 ref.
No, that's in parentheses. Sorry, that was supposed to be like there is a second. It's for me, Dave. It's not for you
all right. Sorry, I was very confused. My apologies.
That's my section. Get out of Christian's corner.
All right,
that's for me.
Try.
All right. So yeah, so she refereed the match today between Amiens and Strasbourg. I think that's how you Amiens. No S. Amiens. Okay. Versus Strasbourg.
Bonjour.
And what are you saying over there?
Bonjour.
Oh my God. So she had already refereed in the second division, but there was another woman who did before her, and she's the first to referee in the Women's World Cup. She's one of the first referees who are assigned to the Women's World Cup as well. So she will be refereeing both men's games in Ligue 1 and will be refereeing this summer at the Women's World Cup in France. So why are you laughing right now?
Because this lead-in and explanation is like crazy long.
All right, Dave, go ahead.
No. I was just Christian. It's Christian's corner. I don't know what to say. I wasn't prompted.
Well, that's unfortunate. I guess you just take over. It's your podcast. You should talk.
Okay. Yeah. So I mean, this is great for her. I mean, we've seen it in Germany, and so as long as players show her the same amount of respect, which Bibiana Steinhaus, who I believe is the ref in the Bundesliga, has gotten, and hopefully the same thing happens here, and it's fantastic to see women getting center official jobs.
Yeah, it's absolutely great. She did show 4 yellow cards, so she is demanding authority out there, which I love to see. Matt, what do you think about this?
And Matt, stop rubbing or whatever you're doing.
Oh, sorry. I hear it too, but I don't think it's me. Okay. I think it's great for her, as Dave said. Good for you. But yeah, I don't think there's any much more to add. I think women are very qualified officials. They're in the NFL. They're in the NBA. They're going to be in top flights or top divisions of sports around the world soon enough. So I think they're more than qualified to officiate men's top league games.
I absolutely agree. Anyone else have anything to add on this topic?
Nope, I'm good.
All right, so let's jump in to the PFA Team of the Year in the Barclays Premier League 2018-19. So I will read off the team, and we will go through what we agree with and what we disagree with. So Ederson was in goal for Manchester City. Trent Alexander-Arnold, Virgil van Dijk, Aymeric Laporte, and Andrew Robertson were the back line. In the midfield, you have Fernandinho, Bernardo Silva, and Paul Pogba. And up front, we have Sterling on one wing, Sergio Aguero in the middle, and Mane on the other wing. Matt, I'll go to you first here. What do you think about this team? Who would you have changed? Would you like this formation or a different formation? Go ahead.
So I'm pretty much fine with all of it, maybe other than Pogba because of the season Hazard had. But it's so hard to replace, a holding or a normal 6 midfielder with, a forward. And I know Hazard isn't. He's played kind of on the wing. He's played as an attacking mid. He's played as a striker, like as a false 9 at times. But it's just so hard to put him as a midfielder, considering the style of play he has and kind of where he's played for Chelsea. He's up for the top 6 player, or he's one of the 6 nominated for PFA Player of the Year. But I think it's just hard to put him into this lineup because I think he's not a midfielder. So I don't really have any other issues with that. With the whole thing.
Dave?
Yeah, obviously Pogba's the one that I might replace. Before we recorded, Matt and I were talking about Laporte. I'm not totally sold on him. I'm not sure who I would put in place of him, but he's someone who I might be open to having somebody else in there if anyone else had suggestions. And Hazard's the huge miss out. I mean, maybe you could swap out Aguero for him. I know he's not technically a center forward, but it's just Hazard he's had something like 15 goals and 15 assists. I don't know the exact numbers, but he's been so involved in Chelsea in both goals and assists, whereas like Mane has been more goal dominant. And so I think, maybe you even could consider putting him in over Mane just because of how many assists he has. And so I don't know. I'm just throwing things out because I think Hazard did deserve to be in here. And the last one is Fernandinho. I know he's so important historically to Man City, but he's kind of started to trail off. And this brings up kind of something I wanted to talk about this whole thing. It's like, why is everything voted on now? There's still matches to be played. And so Fernandinho is kind of like his season's sort of sputtering out from my perspective. I know he's getting older and he hasn't been playing in recent weeks, Matt. I know you're making faces, but Gundogan has been playing
for a couple months.
Yeah, exactly. Why is he on the team?
Well, that's my
out that many games.
He's not worse. He's incredible. He's he's easily the best holding midfielder in the league, and he was this whole season.
I'm going to disagree with that.
I still think Conte is, even though he's being played out of position. But But yeah, I mean, the reality of the situation is, and what I wanted to bring up is, I don't understand why all of this is voted on now. Why can't it be voted on in May, right after the season ends? Yeah. It's not like this, like they need to vote from a timing perspective. Like,
well, it was actually voted on in March.
I know. Yeah. I know. It's none of this makes sense. Why? So players, I get, maybe the assumption is that players go their separate ways in the off season, and in June, they might be transferred, and so potentially that's what's happening in the off season. They want to announce this beforehand, but for me, this is dumb to do before the season's over.
Yeah, and personally for me, I think Pogba, Fernandinho, and Ederson are the three that I would switch. I think Alisson's going to win the Golden Glove this year, and I don't know how you're not going to put him in there for most clean sheets, least amount of goals saved, most saves in the season. Like, he has all of the stats to be the number one goalkeeper, and I just don't understand. I think Ederson's better at kicking, but in terms of overall goalkeeping, I think Alisson had the better season. Not to underrate Ederson, I think he's a great goalkeeper as well. But I think Alisson was the better goalkeeper on the season. Fernandinho, again, I think he is probably deserving if he plays the whole season, but he missed a lot of the season, and I probably would put Wijnaldum in there. I think he's been the best, and that's just how it is.
All right, I'll see you guys next week. I'm turning off the podcast.
Okay, bye.
Just all Liverpool players.
And for Pogba, there has no reason, no business being in here at all.
Please,
Jordan Henderson. Just say Jordan Henderson.
He's your guy.
No, obviously not. It's got to be Hazard or David Silva. Those are the two that should be in this team.
But you can't put Hazard, like Matt brought
up.
Yes,
you can. You change the formation. There's no reason they have to stick to this formation.
No,
none at all whatsoever.
Play a 4-2-4.
Yeah, no, it has to be, I think, at least three or four midfielders. I think
they can play an attacking mid and put Hazard there. It's fine.
I think that they have designated areas, or designated positions when you do the voting. And so I don't think you can do that. Also, it should be clarified that this is the Pro Footballers Association. So these are the players that voted on this award. There's going to be a PWA, which is the Professional Writers Association. The writers have a different set of awards. So I just wanted to clarify. What we're talking about right now is all the player voting.
Yep. And I think the only reason that Pogba's in here is because he was scoring goals in March, all of which were penalties, but that's just what it is. Okay. Anyone else have anything to add on this conversation here?
No.
Nope. All right. Well, that'll wrap up Christian's Corner here. Thanks for stopping by. Hope you guys got some good information and have some opinions. We'd love to hear them. So listen to some music before we come back with Dave's Domestic Dives.
Good stuff.
Night.
Oh, the one other, I don't think so, but people on Twitter were talking about Juan Bissaka, the right back, or however you pronounce it.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, he's been good, but Liverpool's given up 20 goals. I don't know who on Liverpool. I don't think
Trent has 10 assists and
Robertson has 10 assists 11. As well. Yep. Yeah, 10 or 11 assists. So, yeah, I don't think you could see him getting in there, but he's been fantastic, and he'll likely move to a big club this offseason.
Yeah.
Hey, everybody. Go check out fnx.network. It is a website that has all different kinds of content on there, blogs, podcasts, YouTube videos, all kinds of content about a variety of topics, not just specific to sports. They have sports content on there, but they also have sports, entertainment, lifestyle, tech, and more. All of that is available on fnx.network. Go check it out.
Hey, everybody.
Stumble over my words and combine them. All right. We ready to get into this?
Hello, everybody.
Hello, everybody. Hi, Aunt Bethany.
Right.
She wrapped up her damn cat.
She died 30 years ago.
That's lime. This gift is leaking.
That cat had 9 lives.
He just spent them all. All right. Nope. That's not what I want to do. Where's my mouse? Okay. There we go. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Dave's Domestic Dive. Jumping right into things. Let's talk MLS expansion. I meant to talk about this last week, and it slipped my mind as we were running a little bit long. But MLS recently announced that they are expanding to at least 30 teams, and Paul Tenorio is reporting that 28 and 29, teams 28 and 29 are most likely going to be Sacramento and St. Louis. So, Christian, what do you think about MLS expanding to 30 teams? Are you for this or are you against this?
Well, I would like to say for Sacramento, I hope it's Footy McFootface is their team because I know it's San Diego, but either way, as long as it's a California team, that's what I want. So I think it's good. I think that we should be expanding. Most of the professional leagues in the U.S. have at least 30 teams, and that I agree that we should be doing that as well in soccer. I think that it's going to drastically change how the season is structured. I don't know how they're going to split it. I know we discussed possibly doing 3 divisions where you play each of the teams twice and then every other one once. And that would be a 38-game season, which would mimic what the Premier League does and La Liga, Serie A, those types of leagues, which might make the most sense. But if we're going to do that, might as well just change when we're playing to match when they're playing, but to match the football calendar. I don't know why we can't do it. I would like it, but whatever.
Have you been? You live in Philadelphia.
I've been here. Yeah, I'm here. Hey,
like in January and February.
Yeah, I've been here.
December.
I've been here. Yes.
The weather is why we can't do it. I mean,
Toronto.
Yeah, I mean Toronto, Montreal, Minnesota had a blizzard their first match of the season, which they delayed until April, the first home match. So,
okay.
Okay. That's an interesting piece of feedback, and I did want to dig into that. But let's talk to Matt first before we come back to that stuff. Matt, what do you make of MLS expanding to 30 teams? Are you for or against it?
I'm for it. I think just expanding.
All right, hold up.
I'm delayed now, am I?
Yeah.
Okay.
Every time we get Dave's
in Dave's domestic dive. Okay. All right. I'm gonna shake it off, and now Matt's completely frozen. Oh my God. Jesus fucking Christ. I can't. What the hell?
Whoa. It's Sunday, Dave.
Oh my gosh. Oh, by the way, I did that in front of Brendan when City scored in the first minute of the game. I felt so bad. He didn't react tonight, so I immediately apologized.
No, he's pretty okay with it.
I know, but still, I felt bad, considering.
Yeah. So for those of you who don't know, Brendan is our pastor friend who lives in the Knittle household right now.
Okay. He pastor in training.
Yes.
Okay. Hello, Matt. Matt.
He's frozen and smiling.
Oh, hey, no. So I don't know what happens when your section starts.
No, we can hear you.
What goes wrong? Okay, you can?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay. Well, I froze and you started losing your mind over there earlier, so I thought I was freezing. Okay.
You were frozen earlier.
Okay, I didn't know that. Okay, you said I wasn't.
Oh my God, his video is MLS so off now.
To 30. Okay, MLS expanded to 30 teams.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
I go.
Yes.
Correct. All right. So I am for it. I think just expanding into as many markets as possible is good, and kind of matching, the total number of teams in most American sports, 30 or 32, and pretty much all of our professional sports leagues. So I think it's on par with, American sports, and I think it's good for the game.
But do we not? So we don't care that no other soccer leagues really have larger divisions. Argentina has 26 in their first division, but they're slowly reducing it down to 20. No other professional league from a soccer perspective has, 30 teams, and MLS will likely continue expanding. Do you have any concerns with that, Christian?
Well, the country is much larger. We have a much greater size of cities, big cities that deserve to have teams. So I understand it will be different in terms of playing everyone, but we don't play everybody twice now. So it makes no difference. I think what I was saying, what I proposed and what we've discussed before was you have 3 divisions of 10 and you play those teams twice, and then everyone else you get to play at least once, and there's home and away games. It's just how it is. I think that's fine. And we see that in other sports as well. It won't mimic what soccer is everywhere else, but it will mimic what the other U.S. sports are doing, which have been profitable and do a great job as they are.
But do we think they're actually going to stop at 30 teams? Because I don't.
Probably not.
So then that competition structure doesn't work. Matt, what about you? What do you think?
I think the most they would go up to is 32, though. Because are there any other sport, or because I think 32 is what it is for a couple sports. I don't know.
Yeah. All the U.S. leagues, yeah. Are they between 30 and 32?
Yeah, so I don't see them going over that. So I can see another 2 teams expanding, but I'm not really worried about it.
Not really worried about it.
I'm starting to get worried because I don't think they are going to stop at 32. There's so much demand for it all over the place that I think that they're going to just keep expanding. And then at that point,
well, what major markets do they still have to hit?
I mean, Phoenix, Detroit, one of those 2 isn't going to get in with this next level of expansion. Then you have other teams, Charlotte down, or no, I guess did North Carolina? No, North Carolina, I don't think is getting a team at this point. You have, I mean, even going smaller, I mean, Indianapolis, and that kind of gets into the other piece of that I wanted to talk about here. Sam Stachel came out with an article on The Athletic that talked about existing MLS franchises that have been around, since the start, or even, our Philadelphia Union are really getting put under pressure because they're not performing at the level of the Atlanta Uniteds or FC Cincinnati's and teams that are coming into the league. Christian or Matt, let's go to you on this one. What do you make of existing MLS markets and what they need to do to sort of catch back up with the expansion franchises?
Yeah, so I think just the threat, I know it happens in a lot of other American sports where if you're not performing and your team can be moved. And I think that's something, oh, hello, doggies. So I would understand, instead of expanding where you said there aren't markets that have been hit, like moving teams. And
I hate that. That's such bullshit. I don't like that.
Dave, I'm going to need you to calm down for a second.
Yeah.
No, you guys are talking like, oh, you should just move a team away. Like if they took the Philadelphia Union away, that would just be fine.
I mean, it would be sad,
nobody freaking goes to the games.
Yeah, that's the fans' fault.
We don't deserve it at this point.
Oh my God, I just cannot agree with that in any way.
Okay.
I just fundamentally disagree with that. And
maybe the only way to get people out is for other teams to be bad. So maybe we should just make the other teams bad.
Seattle was one of the best basketball areas, and they lost their team to Oklahoma. Like, I don't know.
Okay, that shouldn't happen. No, well, like why? Like you guys you're just okay with that happening. Seattle supported that team. The owner held the city ransom because they wouldn't give him a stadium, and so he picked up and he moved.
I just don't think that the Union is going to move because it's such a huge sport like it's a major city. It's not going to happen.
Miami collapsed. Tampa Bay collapsed. Anything can happen. I knew that was
but that's Florida.
Yeah, you guys are just so flippant here, and I think if it can happen anywhere, it can.
I'm telling you right now, LA, other than LAFC or whatever they were before, or not LAFC,
Chivas.
Whatever Chivas, like whatever, but they already had a team there. Like in the New York teams, Boston, Philly, Chicago, those teams aren't going to collapse. Those are huge, huge markets.
But that's not fair. That's not fair to other markets. Just because we live in a major market doesn't mean that we should be careless about other markets and their teams and their support.
Wow, look how much he's sweating right now. Oh my God.
This is
he's freaking out. Oh, yeah.
No, this is, I mean, this is just normal. I went bold with going with the gray shirt, assuming that would come up at some point, and oh man, it certainly has. I was a little chilly earlier too, so I'm glad that I'm worked up at this point. No, but this is bullshit in my opinion, and the threat of relocation should not be an incentive for you to support your team. Okay, and so whether I have been mostly not anti-pro-rel, but I've
Columbus fans out.
No, not really. They're not supporting the team this year anymore.
No, I meant last year. They were there last year to try and save them.
Not really. I mean, not really. I know that they had a ton of support on social media and things like that, but really the attendance and all of that really hasn't translated into bigger growth. And so something needs to be figured out at the league level. I don't know if there needs to be a second division and then you start toying with the idea of promotion and relegation. I don't know if it's 2 separate complete conferences and you have 20 and 20, Eastern and Western, and then they only meet in a Champions League style playoff or something like that. I don't know, but something needs to get figured out because it can't just keep expanding. And I don't think that they are going to stop. And I think they will keep expanding. And I'm worried about the future competition. And I'm sure that they're thinking about all these things, but being someone on the outside looking in, I'm concerned about all of that. Christian, anything else you want to add?
Concerned in what regard?
Concerned about what they're actually going to do. I think if we go to 34, 36 teams and try to play everybody one time, and then you have a 34, 35 game schedule, I mean, is that what they're thinking? Are they going to split up into divisions? How's that going to function? What's going to happen with the markets that are struggling? I doubt we're ever going to be in
a situation where everyone plays each other once. It would still be divisions. And you just wouldn't play everybody.
What's better?
I kind of like the playing them once because I think American sports need the playoff system. So those extra games at the end of the year, I think that kind of makes up for it. So I think playing everybody once and then, going through the playoffs is the additional games. And I think that's enough. Enough matches for everyone.
I mean, then it's at least even.
To an extent.
Like everyone has played, but home and away matters, but like at least you have played all the same teams.
Yeah. So there's a lot happening in the league, and it's so interesting following it now, and I love following it and talking to different people and all of that. What's up? Why are you guys laughing?
We say this every week. Oh, it's so interesting following American soccer right now.
Because it is, and you guys don't think it is. Like you guys just follow. Or at least Matt, follows only European soccer. But like, this is such a fascinating time to be following all the infrastructure being built here. So, that's why I give my little spiel every week.
As you complain about how everything's going to be ruined every week.
How do I complain about anything being ruined? I'm generally positive on American soccer. I think that it's fascinating what's happening right now, but there are bumps along the way. It's not like you just do something and then, oh my God, it's amazing and successful. There's going to be bumps along the way. And that's why it's fascinating following all this, because you learn from all of that.
Okay.
All right. Yeah. All right. Next topic I wanted to talk about here. U.S. soccer is being sued by I think it's Relevant Sports. So this organization is trying to put on an Ecuadorian league match in Miami. This is an official Ecuadorian league match that would take place in the city of Miami. U.S. soccer is saying that they're not sanctioning it and they're sort of dragging their feet on it. Christian, what do you think about another league's match, official league match being played in the U.S.?
I know we have had this conversation before, but I agree with you guys that it doesn't make sense from a fair standpoint of everyone getting a home and away game against all the teams in the league, which is what we see in most divisions, especially in Europe. But I like the idea of them moving like abroad just for marketing standpoints, and I think it's a really big deal. You get a different group of fans able to see their team that they support so greatly, and like I won't get to go to Anfield more than maybe once or twice in my life, even though that's the team I support more than anyone else probably, and that sucks. And if they come over here, like that would be awesome. I mean, it's awesome to see these top level teams, and that's what you see in NFL now, going to London and going to possibly Mexico. They're starting to spread their image, and it's going to help the sport rise in wherever they are going and help bring out fans to see like really, really top level play.
Matt, what do you think?
I don't like it I don't know if I like anything about it, to be honest. So I don't understand how fans would go out to see an Ecuador, league match. Like, I don't know, is the market even big there? Like, I don't understand if we're having trouble trying to fill out our own league stadiums. I don't see it being like a huge market. I understand that, we've discussed, with La Liga trying to come over here, our 2 cents where we all thought it was a bad idea, and a team loses the home or one team loses a home/away game. It doesn't make sense from that standpoint, and I just I don't understand the need to come here, especially because we have the sport here. Like NFL, we're trying to expose the sport in different countries because it's not really played. Like, we have soccer here. I don't understand the point of it.
Yeah, I hate it 100%. I think it sets a dangerous precedent of having, the Premier League matches here. And I think it's not fair to the Ecuadorian team's own supporters in that city or country for them to lose a home match. And again, I think it sets a dangerous precedent. As awesome as it would be to see Liverpool play a Premier League match in this country, Christian, I don't think it's fair to the people of Liverpool to take that away from them. What do you think about that?
Yeah, but they also have the rest of the games that are there. So,
yeah, but
and this is once in a while. This is not going to be every year that they're coming over.
Yeah, but it sets a precedent that if it happens once, why can't it happen more often? For me, that's my concern. Matt, you were going to say something?
They also come over almost every summer to play their.
But that's not a competitive game. Like the NFL goes for the NFL games. They're not preseason games.
I don't like that.
Pretty much everyone in the NFL hates it. Yeah.
I mean, the NCAA goes over there too. Like it's just the football games are played in Europe every year.
Oh, for the bowl games?
No, not for the bowl games. An opening day game is played over there every year. Like we played UCF there a couple years ago for Penn State.
Mm-hmm.
What? I did not know that.
Yeah. There's NCAA football games played there every year now.
Interesting. I'm in my weird little bubble here. Had no idea about that. I don't like it though.
Yeah.
At the end of the day.
Yeah.
Well, that's great. I'm glad you guys don't like it. That's fine. There's multiple opinions.
Yep, I know. And that's what this podcast is. It's us sharing our opinions.
Yeah, I mean, you guys can be wrong. It's fine.
And you can be very wrong. If you have an opinion, listener, hit us up on at BT Soccer Pod and let us know your thoughts. Last issue I want to talk about.
Soccer Pod.
We're on BT Soccer Pod. All right, we're running long here, but stick with us. This is going to be a long one, so you just, I guess, stick with us. You're going to love it.
Well, I mean, if you're already this far in, you probably are going to stick with us.
Yeah, okay, hope so. Last thing I want to talk about in Dave's domestic dive. The Montreal Impact had a ridiculous travel story this week. They were supposed to fly from Montreal to Boston. Their flight on Tuesday got canceled. They were flying commercial. On Wednesday, they ended up chartering a flight, but then they had immigration issues where they boarded the plane, and then Boston's Logan Airport said they would not accept them. And so they said that they had to go through customs in Montreal and find another airport to land at. And so Montreal eventually landed somewhere in the New England area. They got to their match about 3.5 hours before the game, or they got into the area about 3.5 hours before their game was to take place on Wednesday. They ended up winning 3-0. But you hear stories about like this all the time from MLS where they have to take commercial flights. They're only allowed 4 charter flights per season, and that's one way. So really it's 2 round trips. And so this is a big deal. And so Jim Curtin came out this week and said at this point, so Jim Curtin's the union manager. And so obviously this was a huge topic in U.S. soccer. And he said that recovery is such an important part of the modern game. And so when you have to take commercial flights, it really throws off your ability to recover. And so if you could charter more flights, I think it would be better for the players. Matt, what do you think about MLS's travel issues and whether they need to allow more chartered flights?
I'm going to be honest with you, Dave. What is a charter flight?
Charter flight's a private flight. So instead of flying commercial, instead of buying your tickets and flying on a regular U.S. Airways flight, the team books a plane themselves and can fly wherever they need to, whenever they need to.
You're saying that the brand of plane is not called charter?
Yes. It's not standard charter.
All right. Okay. I genuinely assumed that everyone just had, the teams just had private planes. I didn't realize they, flew commercial. I didn't know that at all. I think it's ridiculous. I think with the money that MLS has at this point, I feel like it should be kind of standard.
Standard chartered
flights. Yeah, standard chartered.
All right. What do you? Okay, so you think it should be standard? I'll ask my question then after I get Christian's opinion. Christian, what do you think about these travel issues and whether MLS needs to have chartered flights?
I don't understand why this is such a big deal. I feel like if a team wants a chartered flight, they should be able to take one. I don't know why they're being forced to fly commercially. They are a professional team, and I feel like at this point, MLS and U.S. Soccer have enough money. The team's owners probably can pay for these flights and private planes. Why is this a serious topic that is being discussed?
So this is a collective bargaining agreement. And so basically there are some MLS owners who don't want to pay for charter flights. They don't view it as a good investment. They want to invest more in their academy, or they want to invest more in their first team. And so it's that balance between the two. So that's a little bit of background there.
Okay. Well, I understand that those things are also important, but your first team is very, very key to your image as a team. And you have to take care of them and make sure that they are as healthy and rested and fed properly, and travel arrangements are all as perfect as they can be, so that all of those things can come together.
So let's play this game if we can. So Matt, rank in order of importance having, I don't know what it would cost. Let's say $5 million to invest in your first team, chartered flights, academy. What is most important in that? And obviously there are other factors there, but if you can have that money, where do you think it would make more?
A chartered flight is part of the first team, or do you mean transfers specifically?
No, I mean transfers. I mean salary. That's what I mean. Matthew.
So, I mean, I was thinking, I think it's probably the salary first, then probably the flights, then the academy, I think.
Christian, what about you?
Do you have a mustache?
Who?
Matt? Are you rocking just a mustache?
I shaved.
Okay.
No.
Okay. It looked like you just had a mustache. Sorry, and I just noticed. If I had to rank just those three, right, is what we're doing.
Yeah.
Wow, that's very difficult.
Exactly. It's not just as simple as like,
I feel like standard chartered flights are the most important thing. No. So you're probably correct that is the third least important. Just I don't know. That's tough.
Players actually.
Say.
Yeah, I want to say they did a survey of players, and they said they would rather have the salary cap go up rather than having chartered flights. And so the players have even come out. I think that was the ESPN survey.
So what you're saying is they want more money.
Yes.
Oh, weird. It's weird that they would say that.
Well, obviously they would. Yeah.
Obviously. I mean, that's a pretty obvious thing that a person would say. I want to be paid more.
Well, I mean, but it's a trade-off, right? So like, are you willing to get paid more, but then have these travel issues and have these stories? Like all of it, I think the league needs to, if they want to be seen as professional, I think at this point, with the next collective bargaining agreement coming up at the end of this year and a new deal being agreed next year, all of this needs to be taken into account. And I think they really need to relax the restrictions and enable more chartered flights for teams that want to do it.
I think it should just be dependent on the team. It should have no cap on how many times you can do it.
I'm in agreement with you as well. Matt, anything else you want to add?
Yeah, I'm just laughing. I'm just like, imagine like Ricardo Kaká coming over and just like winning Ballon d'Or, playing for AC Milan, Real Madrid, and then just coming over here and just getting on American flights normally and nobody knowing who the hell he is.
Yeah. Well, Beckham's a little bit.
Just getting on planes.
Well, no, there's a hilarious photo of Bastian Schweinsteiger at an airport with all the Chicago Fire people, and some woman came up to them and asked for a picture, and she asked Bastian Schweinsteiger to take a picture of her with the Chicago Fire players because they don't even realize it. But yeah, I mean, these players come over and then it's the same situation. I think Beckham flied first class. That was part of his agreement, flew. He flied first class, but he flew first class. But I mean, he was on the commercial flight, along with all the other people. And so, it's a crazy thing. Christian, anything else you want to add in closing?
Nope.
All right. Before we get to our listener questions, go check out the Soccer Tavern. It's a YouTube channel making videos about the history, culture, and philosophy of the beautiful game. Lots of listener questions. So guys, strap in. First one is from @Glenn Lawrence. What's up? What's up, Glenn? You're down in Houston along with Matthew. He asked way too early predictions for the top 5 leagues next year. Who's going to win each of the top 5 leagues? Christian, go.
Spain. Liverpool. All right. Nope. Barcelona.
Barcelona. Matt, Spain.
Madrid. Real.
I'll say Real as well. Christian, Premier League.
Liverpool.
Matt.
City.
I'll say Liverpool as well. Germany.
I'm gonna guess Bayern Munich here.
Matthew.
Yeah. I'm gonna go here and say Bayern Munich.
I'll say Bayern. France. Matt. Or Christian.
I'm gonna go.
Matt, go ahead. You say it. I'll probably agree with you.
I'm gonna Paris Saint-Germain.
Yeah, I might go with that one as well.
All right, I'll agree with PSG as well. And we're missing Italy. Who do you think is going to win there, Christian?
Oh my God, this is such a tough choice. I'm going to guess the team that has won 8 in a row now and say Juve is going to win next year.
Matthew?
Napoli.
Napoli. Oh, wow. I'm actually going to say Napoli as well. I'll say next year they figure out a way to get it done. All right,
they're going to make up the 25-point gap?
Yes. Okay. Next question is from @WeMadeIt Podcast. Do you guys think it's fair to the sport to select have a player of the year? Oh, to have a player of the year award, or should it be players of the year based on position? So basically, team of the week. So do you think that it's fair that there's only one sort of player of the season, Matthew?
Yes.
All right. Do you think it's fair? Why do you think
it's fair?
What do you? So let's dig a little bit
because
more
it
into
is. Because it is,
the
Dave.
team of the season. Like, how many awards do you need? Like, if you're the best player, you're the best player. Like, and each league has it. They have a World one. They have a Europe one. I mean, they have enough awards. Like, not everyone deserves a trophy.
All right, fair enough. Good, well said, Christian.
Yeah, damn millennials always coming in here wanting a trophy for everything. No, there should be one best player of the year. It should be the most valuable person that if you took them out, the team would be completely different. This year, it's very obvious who it is.
Yeah, Van Dijk. I think Sterling. Probably what they were getting at with this is that a lot of times defenders or midfielders are undervalued and strikers are given preferential treatment, and goalkeepers are pretty much non-existent in these individual awards. But I'm in agreement with you guys. I think player of the year is fine, and then they have their team of the season awards. Next question is from Steven C. Brand, who's live on YouTube with us.
Is this about me? Are these all the ones about me?
What would it take to get Christian to wear a suit? I think he's referencing our Quick Kick Picks video. Christian, what would it take to get you to wear a suit?
A wedding or a funeral, probably.
All right, those are the only situations. What about a job interview?
I guess an interview as well if I have to. But I hope I will never have to do that again.
To get you to wear one on a Quick Kick Picks video?
No.
What about a tux? That's from our friend DJ at Fluckapalooza.
A tux? Wow, that would be just monumental, wouldn't it? Yeah, it's not going to happen, though.
Just a wedding? It's the only situation? All right.
Yep, not even.
What about a hat and a cane?
I will wear a hat and a cane. That I will do.
There you go,
without
soccer
the
noob.
Suit or the tux.
Shirtless,
yeah,
or just that vest.
And the
monocle, just like a stripper.
The monocle, like Mr. Peanut.
Oh well, that's the next question.
Wow,
Matt.
Didn't even realize. The next question from @Shopa AJ bonus. Can I get a Mr. Monopoly monocle?
I will wear a monocle, top hat, and cane with a vest.
When?
I can do.
All right, you're committing to this. So
I didn't say when, but I said I can do it.
And so I'm putting it on you. When?
I'm not going to say when. It's going to be a surprise.
All right, there you go, listeners. You got to watch every one of our videos until that happens. There you go.
And then after as well.
Yes, because then we got you sucked in. All right, last question from @FreeKickPod. With the whole social media rant Neymar went on about PSG losing to Manchester United in the UCL to now punching a fan after their loss to Rennes in the France Cup final. Do you think Neymar is doing all this to force a move away, or is it who he really is, just a sore loser? Christian, what do you think about that?
He's always been a sore loser. He's got he has not grown up. He is a child on the field. His antics are absolutely unacceptable. Even when they're soccer related, he dives around. He always is play acting. He's just, he needs to grow up, and he's, for as talented as he is, he's wasting his career currently.
Matthew?
I mean, I think he's kind of always been on his way, like this whole year, out of the club, and especially losing in the Champions League. I mean, he can be a sore loser, but I feel like he's also kind of just trying to force his way out of PSG, and I think it's inevitable at this point.
But you think all this is him trying to force a move away?
No, I mean, I just don't think. I think if he was at Barcelona, he wouldn't be acting up. But because he's in the position where he can do whatever he wants, and if he leaves, he leaves. I think he's just like just taking the piss.
If he dies, he dies.
Yeah, no, I'm in agreement that he's just always been a sore loser. Actually, Tim Vickery on the World Football Phone-In has brought this up in the past. Neymar sort of developed and came about in Brazil playing futsal. So he didn't really grow up on the streets, and he's always kind of been protected. And in futsal, he's used diving and getting fouls called as a defense mechanism, which is why he's acted the way that he does throughout his career. And he's also been coddled since he was 16, 17 years old, breaking out at Santos. And so for all those reasons, that's sort of shaped him mentally and why he behaves and acts the way that he does. He's supremely talented, but he's just a terrible, terrible loser. And so for that reason, I think that explains a lot of it. And Christian, do we want to talk briefly about, or Matt, you have something to say?
Isn't futsal played on like hard courts? Isn't diving around not?
No, it's like rubber. No, it's
rubber?
I mean, it's
like
hard.
the circle gym.
Yeah, exactly. It's like the circle gym at our high school.
Oh, they replaced that floor, by the way.
Oh.
Continue.
Okay. There you go, listeners. I'm sure.
Wait, before you move on, I think Neymar just needs a nice coddle.
Okay. All right. Christian, did you want to talk about the suspension in Champions League? I know that was a topic that we moved down here.
I mean, very quickly, yeah. So Neymar received a 3-match suspension in the Champions League next year for his rant on Twitter, I believe, about Manchester United following the PSG loss to Manchester United, where they fell out in the round of 16. Do you guys have any thoughts? I think that's a long time, but to really cut out on players reacting this way and screaming about referees, about opposition players, they have to come down hard so that it doesn't happen again. David, go ahead.
Oh, you want me to go? Yeah. So initially I was not, I was anti this suspension, but I didn't really remember what he said. And so I'm ultimately okay with it. Where I was coming down is that a player can get a 1-game suspension for a horrific tackle and injuring another player. And then he goes and tweets something or posts it on Instagram and it's just words and he gets a 3-match suspension. So I think ultimately the 3-match suspension is fair for what he said, but I think we really need to reevaluate what the priorities are for suspensions. And when people do things that are reckless and dangerous and are with bad intent on the soccer pitch, and that needs to be, enforced more from a suspension perspective as well. So that's where I stand. Matt, what do you think?
I think it's ridiculous. He should have been fined and suspended 1 game. 3 games at half of the group stage. That's ridiculous.
All right.
Maybe you should stop being a little baby.
All right, there you have it. Listeners, thank you so much for listening. I know it was a long one, but we really, really appreciate you sticking with us. And so if you liked what you heard here, please consider leaving us a review. iTunes reviews help the most if you're listening on an iOS device. Take a couple seconds to do that. Leave us a 5-star review. It'd really, really help us out. Christian, can you tell people about Slack?
I would love to. So Slack is our trivia question. You jumped right over, but we'll come back to it at the very end.
We'll come back to it, yeah.
So Slack is an app or a website you can go on, and it's like a big chat room with all of us. All of our listeners and friends are in there as well. And there's a bunch of different channels where you could talk about the top 5 European leagues, Champions League, international soccer, transfer rumors, all that good stuff. So I guess we should probably make one for the World Cup that's coming up for the women.
Oh,
and there you go. Just thought of that. So if you want to join us, please email us at brostalkingsoccer@gmail.com or tweet at us at BTSoccerPod, and we will get you involved.
Yeah, we've had a couple of people join in recent weeks and be more active on there. So the chat room's starting to, or the Slack channel.
It's not just Drew. So there is so much else going on.
It's not just Drew posting all the time anymore. So it's been great to have some more people on. So thanks everybody who has joined. And if you want to join and just chat, we'd love to have you. Matt, can you tell people what our website is?
Yes, it's www.brostalkingsoccer.com. There you can find past episodes, read about us, links to our YouTube channel, all that fun stuff. There's also an Amazon store link you can click on. It's no additional cost to you, but it really helps us support the show. Again, it's brostalkingsoccer.com.
Check it out. Christian, can you recap our trivia question?
Yes, the trivia question this week is about one Marcus Rashford for Manchester United. He has taken 36 free kicks. How many goals has he scored?
3.
Okay. Matt?
I want to say 1.
All right, so Dave has seen this already, I guess, because of the way he said it.
No.
Really? No? Wow, you were very dead on. Conversion rate of 8.3%. So I read a really funny comment that said every time he's fouled outside the box, he's the first person to take the ball, and he looks like Ronaldo, but then blasts it way off target almost every single time. I'm surprised he even has 3 because every time he takes a free kick, it's absolutely atrocious from what I've seen. So,
but he hit that one time.
That one, yeah, he did get that one time.
Yeah, that one time.
Yeah.
All right, listeners, we thank you so much for being here and tuning in. Real quick, this has gone long, but I'm gonna, if you want to stick around or check out our YouTube video, I'm about to have a discussion with Stephen Brandt on MLS stuff because he was going back and forth in our YouTube chat, but I don't want to throw that in here because I feel like it might take a while. But check out our YouTube video if you want to listen to all that. Christian, thanks for being here.
David, it was my honor.
Matthew, thanks for being here.
It was my pleasure.
Oh, very nice. You excited for Game of Thrones?
Yes.
Watch out for that snow monster.
There you go. Yeah, look out for the snow monster. Listeners, thank you so much for being here, and we'll be back with another podcast this week. See you soon. All right, Steven.
There are so many comments on Slack today. What is happening?
I don't know. I don't know. Okay, Steven. So let's talk MLS. So obviously, if the league was starting now, things would be done very different. But that's because soccer in this. Guys, do you want to be around for this?
Probably not.
Okay. So Christian,
I have to go to an open house with Dad.
What?
Oh yeah, I'm looking to buy a house now. So that's
okay. All right, we should talk later because I know you brought something up earlier, so I want to make sure everything's okay. But we'll talk.
Oh no,
later.
Everything's fine. I'm fine. Don't you know everything that's happening in my life?
Matt just left. Matt didn't even say goodbye. Do I know? All right.
Do you know about my friend?
No. What?
Oh yeah.
Wait, we're still live
here. Yeah. Okay. Fine. He was diagnosed with something. It was bad. It's fine.
Oh,
we're good.
Yeah. Well, okay. Yeah, I kind of knew that, but I don't. Yeah.
We'll talk Baxter, and then there's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of stuff.
We'll talk later. Okay. People don't need to watch this. All right. All right.
We don't have emotions in the Kniddle house, so we're not going to do that. Okay. Bye.
See ya. All right, Steven. Let's talk a little bit about MLS. Now, soccer in this country is at a very different spot than it was at, in '94, or I guess when the beginnings of MLS started to take shape. That might have even been '93. I have the book back here somewhere. Long range goals. Here it is. Just about MLS's founding. And so they structured the league the way that they did at the time because they were just trying to survive. And so that's why it was structured as single entity. That's why they didn't have academies. That's why they weren't clubs from the start. And that's why they had drafts because, they were trying to figure things out. And so I think everything is moving towards where we want to get to. It's just people are frustrated that we're not already there because they're looking at England and they're looking at all these other leagues that had so many years of learning and developing. And so for that reason, I don't buy into the argument that MLS is not trying to grow the sport here. And, I just fundamentally disagree with that whole concept. And so, I know you had a lot of comments here. Philly, absolutely, they're not doing it right. It's not that their ownership group doesn't give a shit. A lot of people want to cite that. I, again, firmly disagree with that. It's that their ownership group is financially limited, and he sets a fixed amount that he's willing to invest each season. I forget what the number is. He's come out and said it. I don't know if it's 20 million or whatever. And then the team can do with it what they want. If they want to invest all 20 million in the first team, they can do that. If they want to invest in the youth academy, which is something he has pushed very hard, and another one of the owners whose name is escaping me right now, but Richie Graham, that's his name, started YSC, and he's firmly entrenched in the belief that youth academy should be the way to go to develop the union. And we're starting to see the fruits of that. They had 5 academy players playing. I guess Mbaizo wasn't technically an academy player, but he came up through their youth system. But they had Matt Freese, they had Austin Trusty, they had Brendan Aronson this week. And so you're seeing those first team players come through the academy now finally. And so, again, I don't think it's the ownership group not giving a shit. It's that they did so poorly over the first 10 years of their existence because they were trying to figure everything out and because he was financially limited. Only like 3 years ago did we build a training facility. They were practicing in a goddamn park in Chester. Like it was just mind-blowing what they were doing initially. And so that combined with being located in Chester instead of being in the city is why Philly has not done great. And so they really got to battle uphill to get things back. Philly Sports About Passion. That book is amazing. Yeah, Long Range Goals is amazing. City where you can bring in a DP. I mean, they brought in Marco Fabian. I don't know who Lee Griffiths is, but I mean, they brought in Marco Fabian. I know he's got some injury issues, but he's a huge player. And, he's had some suspensions and had some injuries, which, maybe they should have seen already. But you don't just bring a guy into MLS and him hit the ground running from a lot of different perspectives. I mean, you look through their history, a lot of designated players that come into the league take time to adjust. And so Marco Fabian, yeah, he hasn't been stellar in his, what have they played 9 matches so far, but I'm not willing to write him off, and he could be a fantastic signing. I do think that they do need to sign a big time striker, and Sergio Santos may have been that player, but he's been hurt. And, Casper Shabilko got a goal this weekend, and he looks like a really good player and a really decent signing. But and from Scotland, yeah, I mean, they target so Philly's all about targeting those players that are opportunistic. And so, yeah, Scotland may be a league that they target, those Scandinavian leagues. Curtin is a hell of a manager. In a good way. I personally like Jim Curtin as well. I mean, I know a lot of Union fans have been frustrated with him in the past. I don't know how much of that was Ernie Stewart dictating that they had to play a set formation, and now we're starting to see him have more flexibility and him being able to influence the game as a manager, and he's proving it. So I personally like Curtin. But getting back to what you were talking about from an MLS perspective, I don't agree that MLS doesn't want the game to grow. I don't know where that sentiment comes from, because I guess why do you say that? I guess maybe if you help me understand that perspective a little bit more, because why wouldn't they want the game to grow? Why wouldn't they want to have a bigger fan base and have more people? I know I'm reading another book, or I just finished another book, who, was saying that the MLS owners use their MLS investments as a tax write-off, because MLS is an LLC and they get distributions, and LLCs are pass-through entities getting into tax law. I got into MLS with the union, so dove really deep into MLS in 2010, but I have read a lot about the history of the league. And so, I've read Long Range Goals. I've done a lot of research on the history of the league and how it's gotten to where it is. They don't want the NASL to happen. Yeah, I mean, I can understand that. Yeah, they don't want a competitive, a competing league to happen. At the end of the day, this is a business, but they still want the game to grow. I mean, they're partnered with the USL, and that's continuing to expand. So, I mean, also the NASL tried to do the same things that the old NASL did, and they basically spent themselves into oblivion again. And so, again, why I get that MLS doesn't really want NASL to happen, but the NASL could have, because they want the NASL. No, the old NASL. Because they don't want the NA. Oh, yeah, they don't want to spend themselves into oblivion. Yes, absolutely. And so I'm in agreement with you that they don't want that exact same situation to happen. Okay, I understand what you mean now. Yeah, I mean, that's fair. I mean, we have tens of millions of soccer fans in this country, but at this point, they've proven to be very fractured. And so nobody is united around their local teams, because, even if you live in Philadelphia, you may not go to Union games, or you may not go to support the Union, watch them on TV even, because you view it as subpar soccer. And so that's the thing. That's the reality of the situation, is what they're competing with. It's not just the leagues in this country, and it's not just, a couple of television channels. It's a world market at this point, and there are thousands of choices for people to watch, whether it's soccer, whether it's other sports, or whether it's other entertainment options. Because the reality of the situation is in today, I can log on to the internet and watch a game in Italy right now, or I can log on to the internet and watch something on Netflix. And so, take financial constraints off the club. Yes, I agree that they can take some financial constraints off the club. I still don't think we're ready to take all of the financial constraints off the club, because I think that there are benefits to having some of them. And so that's why I keep harping on this next collective bargaining agreement is going to be so telling on where the future of this league is going. If the owners fight tooth and nail to keep the salary cap at honestly, anything under $10 million, I am going to be concerned as a fan of MLS and as of someone who wants to see the sport grow here. Now, if they loosen the purse strings from a salary cap perspective, and from some of the stuff we talked about on the podcast today, from a charter flights and some of the discretionary spending that owners are able to do perspective, I think that the league will be trending in the right direction. If they fight tooth and nail to keep spending down at all costs, and they don't recognize that investment in the first team and just investment overall is necessary to see the league grow and to be able to get anywhere approaching $1 billion from the next TV deal, then I think it's going to be a concern. The future isn't the older generation, it's match generation. Yes, absolutely. So I'm in 100% agreement with you that the future. Yeah, I think the drafts are meaningless right now. So if you're talking about the MLS draft with the college, players entering the draft, I don't think too much stock is put into that right now. Now, if you're talking about the supplementary drafts and the waiver drafts and things like that, yeah, I think the league does really need to consider player movement and, loosen up the strings on whether it's free agency, whether it's young players, I believe, need to sign a 5-year deal when they sign with the league. I think these are homegrown players. So if they sign I believe they sign a guaranteed 3-year deal and then player options for years 4 and 5. That's generally what needs to happen. That's really disincentivizing some of the youth players from signing with MLS because they know that they can go overseas, generally have a higher upside on what they could potentially make, but also have more freedom. That's the other issue with the league. And so that's another huge collective bargaining agreement thing that needs to happen. And also the minimum salary in the league needs to be at least $100,000. It just absolutely needs to be. Get rid of discovery rights. I'm in 100% agreement with you on that one. Get Kroenke out of Colorado. It's not going to happen. But yeah, there are some. Yeah, I mean, the Crafts in New England is another one that they really need to, they just treat their team as just, so second rate. But I mean, Kraft was there from the beginning, and he's done a lot to at least keep the league afloat and has stuck by the league. So I'm willing to give him a pass to a certain extent, but that's something. 5-year deal is pension-based. It's sports law in the United States. 5-year deal is pension-based. It's sports law in the United States. What I'm saying is they shouldn't have to sign a 5-year deal. What I'm saying is they should be able to sign a 2-year deal or something like that. So I'm not fully understanding what you mean. Yeah, but free movement basically showed up with the Bosman ruling in 96. And so that's really where free movement started to happen. And so I don't necessarily agree that we aren't there yet. I think that you can restrict it in certain ways, but right now it's too restrictive. It's restrictive to the point where it's disincentivizing people from staying in the league or signing with the league in the first place. That's more what I mean from the free movement. I'm not saying have it be the Wild Wild West and all of that, but I'm saying you need to reduce some of the restrictions that you put on player movement because it would allow you to attract more players, it would allow you to sign homegrowns and all of that. So that's what I mean from that perspective. I agree the future of the sport is match generation, who's already proven to be interested in soccer. So that generation is incredibly interested in soccer. It's just what the league needs to do and what they need to focus on is bringing them to MLS games. And so they're doing things. They're very active on digital media. They're very active on Twitter. They're really involved with Twitch and esports. And so they're doing the right things. It's just actually getting them physically out to the matches and that. Oh yeah. Yeah, pay for play does need to go out of the sport. That's going to be a 10 to 20 year process. That's something ingrained in culture, and that's not MLS because MLS actually has gotten rid of it. It's okay. I didn't think you thought Christian and I were too old, but pay to play is so deeply ingrained in US culture. There's no incentive for the thousands of clubs here to do away with pay to play. And so I know MLS is loosening, their stance on training compensation solidarity payments, which is fantastic to see, but that money needs to trickle down and there needs to be a compensation system set up in this country to compensate other teams. So training compensation solidarity payments is all about when players move federations. And so right now, the fact that MLS is recognizing training compensation solidarity payments is still not having the money flow down the pyramid. And that's what really needs to happen if we're going to get rid of pay to play. And that's how you really unlock the potential of the sport in this country. If I start a club out here in San Jose, or if I am De Anza Academy, right? Or De Anza Sport, what's De Anza? I think it's De Anza Academy. I'm one of the best youth academies in the country, but there's no incentive for me to lose my players to San Jose Earthquakes. Now, if I know that if I push my players out of my academy and they go to San Jose Earthquakes, they sign a first team contract, and then I'm compensated for developing those players, yeah, that would be amazing. And so then it's in my best interest to develop the best players possible and push them as high as possible, because then when they're sold from San Jose to Newcastle, let's say that, for $20 million, all right, that money's going to flow back down to my club. And so And that's obviously the extreme example. But even if I just develop an MLS pro, a journeyman, even just doing that, and if he signs his first professional contract and I developed him in my academy for 5 years, you're talking about close to $100,000 or potentially hundreds of thousands of dollars. I think it's $40,000 per season that a club could potentially claim. And that doesn't happen for these youth academies unless the players go abroad. And so there needs to be a compensation system set up in this country. I believe England has a compensation system set up where even if a player signs for another team in England, youth academies are still compensated. So, yeah. How do I tell my kids who I coach that they can't get ahead? No, it needs now. How do I tell I know it needs to be now, but I get that, but that doesn't, that's not the reality of the situation. I get that training pay to play needs to go away, but at the end of the day, it costs money for field space. It costs money to pay coaches and to develop players. It's incredibly unfortunate where we're at right now. I wish it was very, very different, but the reality of the situation is that can't change overnight. You can't just say nobody can charge for development of players anymore. And so that's where I just slightly, it's not that I disagree. It's just that the reality of the situation is you can't have those players. The reality of the situation is you can't have just, you can't stop charging for those players overnight, because how are you going to pay for everything? You know, that's my only issue. It's not that I don't want it to happen. I would love for it to be snapped and be, I have a sophomore who should be at an academy, can't afford it. Yeah, no, I get it. And I know that it's personal, and I wish it was different. But how do you propose getting rid of it without just saying, oh, it needs to be gone? Like, how do we put it actually into practice? And that's where I struggle with this whole thing. I would love for it to be out of the sport tomorrow, and I would love for players to be compensated even when they're signing a USL contract, and then, you know, your youth academies are being compensated. But that can't happen overnight. There's not enough money in the sport right now. There's not enough revenue being generated from either player sales or just straight revenue, whether it's tickets, whether it's media rights, because I don't know what the USL gets for having their rights on ESPN. I can't imagine it's much. And so US Soccer has grants for clubs. I get that US Soccer has grants for clubs. Do they have the level of grant needed to get rid of pay to play completely? I'm not certain that they do. I know that they have $100 million surplus or so. Get John Townsend. John Townsend. It's a great model for it. Okay, yeah, no, I'd love to hear it, because, you know, I've talked with different people. I talked with Daniel Workman the other day, and he was talking about how it needs to be gotten rid of as well. And I'm in agreement with him, but we were both talking about how, yeah, I get that it's 100 million. They have $100 million surplus, but that's for a lot of different things. And that can't go to just getting rid of pay to play completely. And I also don't know, again, how sustainable that is on an annual basis. I don't know. So there's, I believe, 3 to 4 million registered players within US Soccer right now. Say on average, it takes 5,000 to develop a kid per season. So, I mean, that's already more than $150 million, right? So yeah, and that's just one season, right? So let me do quick math here. So 3 million times 5 is 15. So yeah, you're talking about, let's even say it's $500. I mean, that's already your surplus right there. Even if it's $50 a kid, that's your surplus. So like that's where, like, you can't just take the surplus. Like, there needs to be other things that are saying. I understand only 1% is going to make it to the top. So and that's where I was coming back to. You don't need to make it to the top. Even if you sign a USL contract or a USL2 contract or something like that, or NISA, you know, we have so many leagues starting in this country. If those leagues then have to compensate training compensation, you know, for the lower divisions, that's at least some sort of revenue driver. Makes money every year. I get that. I get that they make money every year, but player development costs are not insignificant. And so that's where, like, so what is your solution? That's what I'm getting at here, because I would love to hear it. I would love for there to be a solution. I just don't see a scenario where, yeah, USL is top because you're getting to you're actually signing a professional contract. So again, what is your proposed solution to getting rid of pay to play? again, I would love for there to be a clear answer, but it's not the surplus. Because there's just not enough money generated to cover. And it's not even, I know you were talking about US Soccer makes money every year, but the profits that they make, there's no way it can cover development costs. And so then there needs to be something, even if it's offsetting development costs, which I hope we eventually get to, that would be fantastic, but still, I just don't know. Yeah, I don't have the answers. Yeah, I don't have the answers here, but I don't know. Maybe we can have a different, separate discussion on all of this, maybe on your pod, or if you do the Matthew Markstone one, or John Townsend. Somebody else told me to reach out to John Townsend too. I want to say he did not. I want to say his DMs weren't open on Twitter, which is why I didn't actually. Bayern funding development leagues here. Fun. It's more like when. So it's attracting sponsors. Yeah, I mean that's certainly an idea. If you can get, it wasn't Target at one point sponsoring youth development from an MLS perspective. I mean that's certainly a way you can do it, and so that's something to explore as well. But I think I'm all talked out, especially because I'm only responding to your messages here. But this was a great discussion. I really enjoyed it. And, I definitely have opinions on this and definitely want to continue learning and hear more about all of this. So let me, hopefully I'm sure we'll be in touch. Maybe we move this either over to Slack or we, again, talk about it on a podcast in the future. All right, Stephen? But thank you for being here. Really appreciate you tuning in. And, Barcelona sponsors Florida. Yeah, exactly. But all right, I am talked out. But thank you for joining. I love having these discussions. And again, I talked about it on the podcast, but it's fascinating just following U.S. soccer. And again, it's an interesting time for development in this country. But hope you have a great day, and I'm sure I'll talk to you soon. All right, see you, Stephen.